All right, let's dive in. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on what is, without a doubt, the single most powerful tool in the Google ecosystem, but it's one most users will never, ever see. We're talking about the Google Workspace Admin Console. It's the ultimate control panel for any organization, and today, we're going to go behind the scenes and see exactly what makes it tick. I mean, really think about that for a second. Every single email you send, every file you save in Drive, every single meeting you join, who's in charge of all that? Who gets to decide what you can and can't do? And maybe most importantly, who protects all that company data? Well, the answer to all of that lies inside the admin console, and today you're getting a guided tour. So, to really get to the bottom of this, we've got to start with the basics. What exactly is this console? And you should think of it less like a simple settings menu and more like the mission control center for your entire digital organization. Now, this definition you're seeing here, it hints at the absolutely massive scope of this thing. This isn't just for, adding a new user when someone gets hired. We're talking about configuring Gmail, securing Google Drive, managing every mobile device, making sure you're legally compliant, handling the billing, the whole shebang. And it's all done from one single website, usually admin.google.com, and you can't just go there. You need a special administrator account to even get past the login screen. I love this analogy of the nerve center because it is so incredibly accurate. Every signal, every command that tells your digital workplace how to function, it all comes from here. If a new employee starts, the signal to create their account is sent from an admin. If there's some kind of security threat, the command to lock everything down comes from an admin. It really is the brain of the entire operation. Okay, so if it's the nerve center, what's its most fundamental job? Well, when you get right down to it, the admin console is all about managing people. It's about how you bring them into the organization, how you organize them, and, just as important, how you securely transition them out. You'll hear this term a lot, user lifecycle. And it's key because it really is a journey. When someone gets hired, an admin jumps in here, creates their account, gives them a license, and puts them in the right digital department. While they're working there, the admin might have to reset their password or change their name if they get married. And then when they leave, the admin is responsible for this super critical offboarding process to make sure company data stays safe. Now, what you're seeing here is one of the most critical workflows for any admin. Getting this wrong can be an absolute disaster. Offboarding is not just one click, it's a very careful process. So, step 1, suspend. This is the first thing you do. It instantly cuts off all their access, email, drive, everything. It's like changing the locks the second they walk out the door. Then, step 2, transfer data. This is so vital. You reassign all their Google Drive files to their manager, so no work gets lost. You transfer their future calendar events so important client meetings don't get dropped. Step 3, remove the license. Only after all the data is safe do you stop paying for that account. And finally, step 4, delete the account. And this often happens way later, especially if that user is on what's called a legal hold, which prevents anyone from deleting their data for legal reasons. This number is so important, it gets its very own slide, 20 days. I want you to burn this number into your brain. After you delete a user in Google Workspace, you have exactly 20 days to restore them. After that, they are gone, forever. All their data, their emails, everything. Just imagine accidentally deleting the wrong John Smith in a big company. This 20-day window is your only safety net. A great admin knows this number by heart. Now, trying to manage hundreds or even thousands of individual users would be a complete nightmare. And that's where groups come in. This table breaks down the 4 main types. You've got your simple email list, for sending out company-wide announcements. And you've got your collaborative inbox for a team like support@company.com. But the real power comes from using access and security groups. Instead of sharing a sensitive folder with 15 different people, you just share it with one group address. And here's a little pro tip. Groups are mainly for giving permissions and access. That's different from what we're about to see, which is all about applying settings. So, if groups are for organizing people into teams, organizational units, or OUs, are for structuring your entire company. This is an absolute game changer. You basically create a digital org chart that mirrors your actual company. And the power here is something called inheritance. Settings you apply at the very top level automatically flow down to all the OUs underneath them, kind of like a waterfall. That is, unless you decide to specifically change it for one particular team. And here is a perfect real-world example of why OUs are just so powerful. For your sales OU, you absolutely want Google Drive's external sharing turned on, right? They have to send proposals and contracts to clients. But for the HR OU, oh no, you want that setting turned off. HR deals with incredibly sensitive employee data. The last thing you'd ever want is for that to be accidentally shared with the outside world. OUs let you apply completely different rules to different departments. It's incredibly flexible. Okay, so we've got our people organized. Now, let's talk about the tools they're actually using. The Admin Console gives you absolute control over which apps are available and how they get used on company devices. And this isn't just some big on or off switch for the whole company. Using those OUs we just talked about, you can get super specific. Maybe you disable Google Chat for the summer interns but leave it on for everyone else. You might turn off YouTube for everybody just to improve focus. But, probably the most critical job here is blocking risky third-party apps. When an app asks for permission to view and manage your email? Well, an admin can create an approved list, so only trusted applications can get that kind of access, which is a huge deal for protecting company data. Let's face it, in today's world, work isn't just on a laptop at a desk. Company data is on phones and tablets everywhere. The Admin Console gives you 2 levels of control here. Basic management is great for a bring-your-own-device setup. It lets you do things like require a screen lock and remotely sign a user out of their Google account. But for devices the company actually owns, you need advanced management. This gives you the power to remotely wipe all the corporate data if a phone gets lost or stolen. You can push specific apps to the device, and you can even block devices that have been tampered with. It's absolutely essential for protecting your data on the move. So this brings us to what is maybe the most important role of a workspace administrator: security. They really are the digital guardians of the entire organization, and the Admin Console is their shield and their sword. It's a huge question, isn't it? The number of ways things could go wrong is massive. But Google provides this layered defense model, and it's all configured right here in the security section of the console. And it all starts with the most fundamental question of all: are you who you say you are? So the very first layer of defense is strong authentication. And a key power an admin has is the ability to enforce two-step verification, or 2SV, for everyone. This means a password alone is never, ever enough to get in. For the most sensitive accounts, like other admins, they can go a step further and require a physical security key, that little USB thing you have to physically tap. It's basically unphishable. And they can also set session controls, so if you get up and walk away from your desk, you're automatically logged out after a certain time. Okay, now this is where security gets really, really smart. Context-aware access is like having an intelligent security guard at the front door. It doesn't just check your ID, it looks at the whole situation. It asks questions like, okay, Bob, I see your password is correct, but you're trying to log in from a new country on a device I've never seen before at 3 in the morning. Yeah, I'm not going to let you in. An admin can create these incredible rules like you can only get to our sensitive files if you are on the corporate network and using a company-managed device. It is so powerful for stopping unauthorized access. And the final layer of defense is all about preventing sensitive data from leaving the organization by mistake. Data loss prevention, or DLP, is like a safety net. An admin sets up rules that automatically scan outgoing emails and files that are being shared externally. It's looking for specific patterns, like the exact format of a credit card number. If it finds a match, it can automatically block the email from sending, pop up a warning to the user, or just quietly send a notification to an administrator. It's how you prevent simple human error from turning into a massive data breach. So when you put all of this together, you can see that the scope of this role is just massive. And that brings us to a final, really crucial idea about what it means to be a truly great admin. It's about moving beyond just being a technician who clicks buttons to becoming a real strategic partner for the business. One of the most important security concepts for a strategic admin is the principle of least privilege. All that really means is you only give people the exact permissions they need to do their job and absolutely nothing more. You don't make everyone a super admin who can do everything. That's just way too risky. Instead, you use these built-in roles. The help desk gets a role that only lets them reset passwords. This one idea dramatically reduces your security risk across the whole company. Another thing that separates a good admin from a great one is how they use data. The Admin Console logs literally everything that happens. A reactive admin uses those logs to figure out who deleted that important file after it's already happened. But a proactive, strategic admin is looking at the reports and saying, I see a huge spike in files being shared externally by the marketing team. Let's go talk to them, understand their workflow, and make sure our security policies still make sense.
They use the data to see trends and get ahead of problems before they even start.
And really, that just brings it all home, doesn't it? The buttons, the switches, the settings in the admin console, those are just the tools. The real goal, the art of being a great Google Workspace administrator, is using those tools to build an environment that is both incredibly secure and highly productive. It's a balancing act, right? To enable collaboration without creating risk, to provide access without giving up control. It's about empowering everyone in the company to do their absolute best work, safely.
So we've seen that the admin console isn't just a settings panel. It's an incredibly powerful strategic tool. So I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. Now that you've had a peek behind the curtain and seen what's possible, what's the very first security setting or policy or report you'd want to go check in your own organization's console? Thanks so much for tuning in.